How does Bob Marley like his donuts?
I don't know.
With jam in?
That's so bad.
How does Good King Wenceslas like his pizza?
Oh God. How?
Deep pan, crisp and even.
So fucking bad.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Those Aren't Biscuits. This is the first episode of our new show. I'm Owen Adams, and with me is Jonathan Cadotte.
That's
or
me.
Cadotte. Cadotte.
Cadotte.
Cadotte. There we go. Right the first
You
time.
think
That's good.
I think we should have worked out how to pronounce each other's last names before we did this.
Well, the first time when I was going to record something with Patrick and Mesa, some friends of ours for the listeners out there.
Yes.
It suddenly occurred to me that I did not know how to pronounce Mesa's first or last name. Like, I'd assumed they were pronounced a certain way. And I got halfway through and I was like, am I just going to sound really bad?
Well, at least you didn't do what most of my grade school teachers did, and those Cadotte and Cadotte and Cadotte and Cadet.
Cadotte sounds very good. You could have been a gangster, a modern Scarface. John Cadotte.
Right. Jonathan the Fish Cadotte.
Jonathan the Fish. Scarfish.
So I suppose we should talk about a little bit, not necessarily what our goals are for this, but just why we're doing this.
Okay. It's a bit. We did a test recording last week now, but I must admit it feels a bit different knowing that this is the one we're going to put out. You kind of feel like you're talking to someone, so it's all a little bit more awkward. But I think I'll settle in as we go.
Right.
But I've wanted to record some sort of podcast for a while. It's been something that I've wanted to do just because I enjoy listening to them, and it's a good way of talking about your interest and sharing things. And I think we're both interested in films and games and things, so it's a nice area we can discuss.
Right.
How about you?
I've had a few failed attempts myself at starting a podcast, and the biggest problem I always ran into was trying to have a very strict focus.
Right.
And it just came down to realizing that while I might get 1 or 2, even 3 episodes, whatever focus I had was going to run out real quick.
Yeah.
But I feel like with this right now, since we're kind of decided that we just want to talk, we just want to talk about a few things.
Yeah, I mean, we have a scope in the sense that we have shared interests.
Right.
And we're trying to aim. I think we're aiming for an audience of ourselves, really. People like us.
So we don't feel so alone in the world.
Well, it would be a start. Right. People I think over time we've had some pretty interesting conversations, and other people would want to listen to us having those conversations, obviously.
Right. But like we were just talking before we hit the record button about how temporary internet storage can be. And
would you mind repeating that?
Oh, just how temporary internet storage can be. See, I even kept the same inflection when I said it.
My cat took that moment to jump off the back of the sofa and fight my microphone cable.
Oh, thanks, cat.
Sorry, carry on.
But yeah, because I guess in a way, I mean, it's not a very interesting story, but me and Owen kind of met through an internet forum where we posted a lot of our writing at the time, but definitely through our teenage years and a little bit further. And that forum is no more. It's wiped off the face of the internet.
Yeah, and it lasted for years,
Mm-hmm.
and now it's gone. It was a surprise, but it was one of those things where it could come back. Theoretically, it's not that hard to do, but the membership there had dwindled so small that it wasn't worth anybody's time to get it up and running again when it finally went.
Right. And it's like everything that I had written for that site, I never took the time to like transfer over to new computers. And since that forum's gone, everything that I wrote, I guess all of us had written, is gone.
Yeah.
And we were actually discussing a poem in particular that I had written, and believe me, I've gotten better since. But the gist of the poem was about a young prostitute, and toast was involved,
Do
and
you know? I think it was, what was that line? Stood by the garden post, or the while I eat my buttered toast.
Yeah, stood at her usual post while I ate my morning toast.
It was touching, man. It got me right there.
What made it even worse though is that the poem was called Lolita, and I had used the title not really knowing much about the actual book, and when that was revealed, oh man, did I get taken to task.
Well, I mean, the message board, it was called Zenith, or Zenith, depending on who you are. And it was the kind of place. I mean, looking back, we were quite mean people. And people who wrote badly didn't last long. But the advantage was, if you stuck with it, if you stayed there, you learned to write well, or suffer the consequences.
Yeah. And you know, and it's funny, the more I think about it, the more I realize that for me, coming to that forum as such a bad writer and eventually becoming much better isn't necessarily a unique experience in this age. Like I've seen it where people go to like DeviantArt and stuff like that with a sketching that they think is amazing, and it gets torn to pieces, or
Yeah.
It's not received well at all. And they, some people keep at it and they get better, and it's like this just known thing in the internet world now where if you're going to put yourself out there, you're going to be destroyed and cut down and broken into your tiniest pieces.
Yeah.
And then some people build themselves up, they're like living Lego creations.
Right, and you've got the downside as well, because it's not an approach to nurturing creativity that works for everybody.
Right.
There are going to be people who could do good work, and they're going to get lost in that. They're going to get broken before they're ready, or
But I kind of see it almost as, now let me be clear, I've never been in the military, but I see it as like the military approach, where you're showing up on the internet and you're going to put yourself out there. You're going to be beaten and just ran through the mud and all of that, and then hopefully become a good soldier at the end.
So, are you hoping that that's what'll happen to us with this show? We'll we'll
Oh,
pu- put
I'm
ourselves out there to the great podcast community and just be torn to shreds.
I'm aiming for the 4-star general. You know, I want to be Patton someday. Just
The pattern of podcasts.
that's right. That's what I want to be. I want to be just standing in front of a giant flag of whatever nationality is appropriate, and just with my horse crop in one hand and my poofy pants, and
Your poofy podcast pants.
yes, my poofy podcast pants. Thank you. Good alliteration. But, but yeah, that's my goal. I'm gonna be something. I don't know anymore.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of weird because this is probably the best attempt so far that I've made, and it is a little awkward. Like I don't do a lot of recording. Um, I don't like I. We've both been doing things on the internet as as much as that's a career, for a
That
long time.
sounds so terrible. I've been doing things on the internet.
We've
Don't
both
want
been
to talk
doing that.
about them.
Don't ask. We've both been doing that sort of thing for a long time, but I don't do a lot of recording. I don't do a lot that's kind of directly me, like putting myself out there. It's usually written, and so it's a bit it's challenging to kind of get into this idea of speaking well and putting everything that I want to communicate out there immediately, brain to mouth.
Yeah, exactly. I've been part of a theater troupe before, a local theater troupe, and one of the things that they had me do one time was MC a sort of variety show thing.
Yeah.
And the problem is they didn't give me any real idea of what was coming. So everything had to be off the cuff. All my little comments, all the little introductions, all had to be made up on the spot. And for some reason, I felt so much more comfortable doing that than this right now. Because I'm a little bit nervous,
Yeah.
and I wonder if it's maybe the scope of what the audience could be, or the fact
Right.
that there's no visible audience to begin with.
Yeah, you can't get like an immediate read on them.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm surprised how different it is to when we recorded our sort of our test record, where we would just it was casual and it was nice and it flowed well, but we knew that nobody was going to hear it.
Maybe.
Maybe.
We
know now nobody's going to hear it.
Yeah, there's a. I think maybe it was because we knew it wasn't going to be released that we were a little more free about perhaps some of the topics.
Yeah.
And because not that we'll share it right now, but there was a lengthy conversation about racial slurs, and
yeah,
it was a little ugly.
Yeah, we went there, man.
Yeah. Oh man, just I can imagine releasing that. It came from the trees, man.
You weren't there.
But so back to what kind of hope our scope will be, kind of a general a pop culture show commentary, or this, whatever we decide to talk about that day.
Yeah.
That being said, what you been watching lately, or reading, or playing?
Well, I recently, I'm trying to get through my film shelf. Beth and I were really bad for kind of buying films and then just never watching them. So when we're sitting down trying to choose something to watch, it's a case of what have we paid money for, and it's just sat there going to waste.
Right.
So we watched. We've had that second X-Files film on Blu-ray for so long. I mean, we bought it years ago, and it's just been sat there unwatched because we kept saying, we'd watch the show together, and then when we'd finished that, we'd watch the film like in its proper place. But it was just
Right.
becoming really obvious we were never going to get around to watching that together.
You'll never find if the truth is out there.
Yeah, it's not out there. It's in here, man. It's in here.
Oh. Thank you, Guru Owen.
I believe. So I finally got around to watching that. It is a really good film. So much better than I expected. I had a really good time with it.
Now, see, I've never watched any of the X-Files. Like, I've maybe seen 1 or 2 episodes, but I definitely saw the first movie that came out and was completely lost.
Yeah, well, that film, if I remember rightly, that film, it goes between 2 seasons of the show and is really heavily tied into the ongoing plot, like the mythos.
Okay.
It's a real X-Files followers film. And like if you didn't go see the film, if you didn't go see X-Files the movie, when the show picked up again a couple of months later, you would also be lost. It's that integral to the plot. But this one,
things do that.
Yeah, when they tie in beyond reason.
Well, and especially the television and movie thing.
Because you've got such separate audiences there.
Well, and there's that, and granted, you might pay for your cable, but there's very little financial investment when it comes to watching a television show.
Right.
But then there is a very immediate financial investment when it comes to seeing a movie.
Yeah.
It seems a bit unfair.
Yeah, you're kind of saying if you want to follow this plot, you throw down more money.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to keep being a part of this. But this new film, I say new, I think it's like 2008. It's called
like yesterday.
Oh yeah, it's just the other day. Like
it came out against it came out against Guardians of the Galaxy and stuff. It didn't do well, but
So this film, I think in this country it was actually straight to DVD. I don't know if it actually got a theatrical release because the X-Files is kind of forgotten over here.
Yeah.
But it's called I Want to Believe, which was a tagline for the show back in the day.
Oh, okay. Now, like I said, I've never seen X-Files, but I want to say, wasn't the title over here was called X-Files, like Fight for the Future?
That's the old film. That's the original.
God damn it! See, I'm already off.
Yeah, it's integral stuff. This the title of 2 films.
Well, you just see what I mean? Just breaking me down to my smallest pieces, and I'm gonna build myself up. And
yeah, we're beginning already. And it's weird because this is a film that, I mean, The X-Files is one of those shows that is not remembered as having a particularly great ending. Like it's not one where people came away going, well, that answered everything I wanted to know. So a lot of people, they're making a new X-Files film. Everybody's going, wow, this is going to be it. We're finally going to get all the answers that we were waiting for all these years. This film does none of that. It's totally self-contained. It's like a single episode of the show done as a thriller movie.
Okay.
But it's really good. So
I think the most important question about this movie is how was Exhibit in it?
For a while, I didn't know who it was, and I was watching with Beth, and she's going, "Isn't that LL Cool J?" And she's going, "It's LL. I'm sure it's LL Cool J." And then we get to the end, she's looking at the credit, and she goes, "Exhibit, LL Cool J, same thing."
you know, did he pimp anyone's ride at least?
No, he was playing a very serious FBI agent. He
Damn it!
was on the case.
Nothing like, yo, we heard that you like conspiracies, so we hooked up a conspiracy in your car.
Yeah, the aliens have landed, and he's putting rims on the UFO.
Like, and the exhaust port shoots out bubbles. Why? Fuck it.
Like the aliens are going through the solar system.
It's a ridiculous sound system. Now, is that a big thing over in England? The big sound systems?
Depends on how late at night it is.
Because like
sleep,
over here,
yeah.
because over here there's like a whole subculture about
Rims,
sound systems.
illuminated rims for your car. And,
Oh yeah, well,
and a
there's all
subwoofer
that.
to go with it.
There is all that, sure, but legitimately just focusing on the sound system, there's a whole culture, and they have competitions where they test to see who has like the best bass and stuff like that. And to do that, they don't play a song. They play this noise, this god awful noise through the system. It just sounds like feedback or something like that, but they're able to gauge decibels by it. And
so they don't care about the quality. It's just the sheer volume of the sound system.
Yeah, or
if you can remove the screws on passing the doors on passing cars, just through sheer tone alone.
And granted, I have a very pedestrian understanding of these competitions and everything like that. But I can't tell you how many times I've been stuck in conversations where people are like, "Oh yeah, I put a new amplifier in my system, and I built a new box for it, and I got the subwoofers and the tweakers and everything all lined up." And it's like, sure, man, whatever you say.
In those conversations, I'm always just thinking, you are the most boring person alive.
And here's the thing is, like, I have this weird like tendency where I want to engage everybody in whatever they're talking about. So I've sort of developed this skill where I pick up on very key words, and I realize that if I just regurgitate those back at people, it'll be absolutely enough.
Like a conversation chameleon.
Yeah, like they'll be talking about like, oh, I put new new speakers in and all this sort of stuff, and I'll remember a brand name of speaker that I saw at the store. Like oh yeah, I put these Sony Explodes in mine. Oh man, you got the Explodes? That's awesome. Yeah, I went with blah 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 blah. And it's like, so I feel like I've fulfilled my obligation to participate.
Yeah, and half the time, it's not like they've heard of every brand of speaker. You know, you just know enough to sound convincing.
Oh yeah.
And you're one of the team. Nobody will suspect a thing.
Well, that's why I've realized I've had this. I don't even know if it's a skill. I'm sure anyone can do it, but
I don't think you'd see it coming up in any Elder Scrolls games.
Right? Do you have your fake conversationalist skill?
Regurgitating keywords.
Leveled up. Ding. But I did it all through high school too, and I realized that it kind of put me at a weird spot because I've recently ran into a lot of people from high school, and they all have these weird misconceptions about what clique I belong to. And they're like, "Oh, weren't you part of like those stoner kids outside, or weren't you like with all the automech kids, or I thought you were on the debate team?" Like, no, I was none of that actually.
One of my favorite episodes of Frasier is about his school reunion, where he's really pleased to go back to his school reunion because now he's kind of rich and famous. He'll be in the coolest clique. And when somebody asks him what what clique he was in when he was in school, the only social group that would have him was the chess club's barbershop quartet called, and they're called the Checkmates.
And see, thankfully, my school didn't have a barbershop quartet.
Otherwise, you'd be there.
Yeah, they're like, hey, weren't you the tenor?
See, British schools, they aren't really like that, in the sense that American schools seem to revolve completely around extracurricular activities, whereas we don't really do that so much. There's sports if you're kind of forced onto the team, but nobody goes to see the game. Only the people on the team and the parents of the people on the team.
Oh, see, it is so much different here. Like, the best way I can describe American schools is they're tribal. Like, you get in there, and probably within your first year, you've almost established, like, what group you're gonna be with till the end. And then everything around school that isn't purely academic involves with how these groups rub up against each other.
Right.
And, like, the overlap. But then you do have the school-sponsored extracurriculars, and those are huge over here. The football teams, or the American football teams, and the baseball teams, and all that sort of stuff draw crowds. We have big pep rallies, like where everyone gets together and they have the cheerleaders out there on the gym floor, just like, hey, scream your support for our team. Woo! And,
yeah, we just don't have that here.
And the funny thing is, like, I can look back at it now in a very cynical way, like, oh, that was what a waste of time, and blah blah blah. But I can remember being actually really excited about them. Like, in a weird way, it showed that we were, even throughout all the cliques and the groups and all that sort of stuff, we were like one unit.
Yeah.
It was like a unity thing. But at the same time, there were still kids who, like, rallied against it. They're like, no, it's dumb, blah blah blah. And I'm kind of curious if those kids nowadays wish they would have participated more.
See, in our schools, it's not so much a case of there are people who rally against it, or the people, like, it's not a case that it's there and people object, as much as it's a case of it just doesn't exist as a cultural thing. You go and you do your classwork, and you do your lessons, you learn your subject, you do your exams, and that's kind of it. You might belong to an after-school club. You might be in the
philosophical, but I want to say that the whole rise of the extracurriculars, like the sports and all that stuff, was part of the same sort of movement where schools kind of became secondary homes in America, where, like, it was expected that a teacher would kind of act as a parent at the same time,
right,
as being a teacher. And the more time that kids spent with the school and with coaches and stuff like that was like being part of another family, which in turn would kind of take a lot of pressure off the actual family.
Yeah, that's so different here. It's not thought of like that at all. School, I think most people here wouldn't think of school as something you are participated in. Not so much as something you belong to, but somewhere you go.
Right.
And that's it. That's where it ends.
Yeah, and here it's so different because there's things like school rivalries and things like that, where it's like, we don't like the kids from the school 20 miles away. You just don't. Like, or you, like, create these weird beliefs about them, like, well, all those kids are weird. They used to be homeschooled. And that's just what happens. Like I
Yeah.
said, it goes back to this tribal like viewpoint on it.
I think we exhausted all our talk about schools.
Yeah.
So, allow me to ask you the question you asked me. What have you been enjoying lately?
Going into this, I had a few things in mind I want to talk about, but then last night I sat down and watched a movie, and I realized this is what I want to talk about.
All right, hit me.
I watched a Muppets Christmas Carol.
Oh, I love that film. Wait, is that Muppets Christmas Carol or the Muppets Christmas? Is that a different film to the one I'm thinking of?
It's the one with Michael Caine.
Okay, yeah, I love that film.
Okay, yeah, he played Scrooge.
But there's another Muppets Christmas movie, isn't there? And it's terrible.
There might
A
be.
recent one.
Well, I think lately they've been doing more of the whole back to feature films thing, not like the TV specials.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. You.
Oh no.
Go for it.
I'm watching this, and I remember loving this movie as a kid, and I watched it again.
Are you about to bash this film?
No, I'm not going to bash the film because I still enjoy it. But I start picking up on things that I never would have realized as a kid.
Yeah.
Michael Caine never ever looked comfortable acting opposite a puppet.
No. Well, he never really interacts with them either, if he can avoid it.
No, he doesn't. Not at all. Like, most of his lines, I mean, just by virtue of what the story is, he's never really talking with any of the Muppets. He's always talking to either, like, the spirits.
Yeah.
Or at the very end, he talks with the people. But it's those times where, like, when he is talking to the spirits, and they are still Muppets, it's awkward. Like, you can tell that he's trying to emote something, but you can just see in his eyes that he's like, I'm looking at felt.
Right. And that's like the musical number, isn't it? Yes. So they're singing while he's reciting lines from the book.
Yeah. And that's actually another thing that popped up, is that the last musical number where he's leading this big parade through the streets, the Bob Cratchit's house.
And he can't sing for his life as well.
No, he can't. But he's leading this parade, like, with the implications that his turkey is going to cure Tiny Tim. But he gets there, but like the whole way he's doing this weird like march dance jig thing.
Yeah, it's to the music, but like his arms are going. But all the way through the film, he's just this looming dark figure.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know the story is that overnight he changes, you know. Right. But he's got the singing voice. I mean, I can't imagine there's anybody who hasn't seen this film. But it's just Michael Caine talking in his very distinctive voice, sort of to music.
Right.
While he's kind of waggling his shoulders.
And I wish to God I could do a Michael Caine impersonation, because I almost cracked up laughing at a very touching moment. He's like, and the boy, will the boy live? Will Tiny Tim live? And it sounded so robotic. And the thing is, like, I like Michael Caine as an actor. You know, say what you will about, like, the last Batman movie. He was great in it.
Yeah.
He was absolutely great. Maybe the best part. You know, because he was the only one who had any bit of emotion.
No, he's great in those films.
Yeah.
And it's such a... Because he's not an upper class Englishman. You know, he's a working class.
Right. And I remember actually watching an interview with him when he was doing a movie where he plays an old man fighting against gangs, I guess.
Yeah, Harry Brown.
Yeah. And, which is...
Yeah, that's a good film, too.
I haven't seen it, but from what it sounded very much like a movie we... I guess not we, I'm sure everyone had it, but called Gran Torino with, Clint Eastwood,
Right.
and but it sounded very similar to that. And I don't remember which one came out first. And but yeah, like I remember him in this interview talking about how he was part of a gang when he was younger, and but yeah, it's like that working class feel to him, and his voice just does not quite translate over to Scrooge.
Right. I mean, that's a weird film anyway, because that was the big Muppets film of the 90s.
Yeah.
And that was the first time they'd done that adaptation thing. Like, they tried it with Treasure Island, and I don't think that one went down as well afterward.
No, but I did like it.
Yeah, it's not a bad film. But when you watch Muppets Christmas Carol, I think the strangest thing to me, and it kind of works for the film, but it is such a straight adaptation. But then there's a lot of Muppets thrown in.
Yeah, and that's the really funny thing about it is that all the Muppet bits to it were like this weird commentary, like on Victorian England.
Yeah.
And
My favorite bit in that entire film is when I forget his name, but he's like the American Eagle.
oh, Sam.
And he's like, you must work hard to make money. It is the American way. And Gonzo runs up and it is the British way. Which is quite fitting for our podcast.
Yeah. But the part that made me laugh was like they're Gonzo and Rizzo are trying to look into a window and it's just completely covered in like soot and dirt or whatever. And Gonzo steps back, looks almost directly at the camera and goes, wow, this is a dirty city. And then proceeds to wipe the window with Rizzo. He uses the rat to wipe the window. And in my head I'm just striking like, why was that necessary? Like, why was that comment necessary at all? Like, no one watching this really cares too much about what Victorian England looks like. Or that's not what you go to see that movie for.
Right. But I think it works for that film.
And there's like all these other little bits where like at one point Gonzo, who was supposed to be playing Charles Dickens, which is actually kind of funny to me.
Yeah.
Is like up on a roof with a chimney sweep. And it's such a little gag. But at the same time, it's like, who the hell knows what a chimney sweep is? You know?
Right.
Especially little kids, which you expect this movie to be directed towards.
Yeah. That's why it's so strange that the adaptation's so good. But I remember watching that with my dad. And my dad, he doesn't like American TV. He doesn't like watching kids shows. He didn't like any of this stuff. I'm talking about him like he's still alive. Weird. He hated all that stuff, and he particularly hated the Muppets. In any form, Sesame Street was something that just he wouldn't have it on in the house. Drove him crazy. But I remember watching that film with my dad, and he loved it. He thought it was amazing. He just had a great time watching it. And I don't know how they achieved that.
There is something to be said about the Muppets. I wouldn't say Sesame Street so much. There's actually a really weird distinction that people use between Sesame Street and the Muppets. Like, they call the people from Sesame Street monsters. They're all...
Yeah.
And then it's weird. I don't get it. I don't care. But there's a thing about the Muppets that I noticed, especially when I watch this movie, is that they never quite talk down to kids, which is interesting because it seems like the direction most kids shows take is this whole like, can you see where the giant red fire engine is?
Yeah.
And, but for them, like what struck me is that Gonzo uses the word omniscient.
Yeah. When he's talking about being a narrator, because he's narrating the story.
Mm-hmm. And he's trying to explain to Rizzo how he knows everything and knows what's going to happen. And
Right.
but yeah, he uses that term, and it's like, wow, I could never ever imagine Dora the Explorer or something like that saying that word.
Right, and a kid might not pick up on that, not understand it, you know? But the film's going to stick with them if they love it, you know? And it makes it feel like. I think when a kid sees something like that, they don't understand it, but they know it's supposed to be funny. So maybe their parents are laughing and they're not, but they know it's there. They feel like they're watching something that's part of a wider world, you know? Something that's developed and something their parents would watch, you know? Not just something tailored for them that's one more area where they're being cornered off and sent to the kids' table.
Sometimes I miss going to the kids' table. Because, like, we have Thanksgiving coming up.
The older you get, the more they frown on it.
Then you start getting, like, arrested for it. But yeah, coming up, we have Thanksgiving here in America. And, I mean, I'm sure everyone kind of knows what Thanksgiving is, but it's a big feast. It's supposed to be a big feast. And one of the tropes of it is that there's always a kids' table. And I remember last Thanksgiving that I attended to, and they had a kids' table. The whole time I had my eyes on those kids, and they're laughing and they're joking around and they're like throwing bits of food at each other. And I look back at the table I'm at, and it's like, yeah, I guess they're gonna raise our insurance rate next year, and like, oh, gotta get the car fixed, and I think the foundation of the house is crumbling, so that's gonna cost me. It's like,
right, it's like Christmas, you know, you see the kids enjoying it and you realize that when you're an adult, it's all about sustaining the holiday just for them.
Right.
Like, to an extent, you're just maintaining the pretense.
Mm-hmm.
You're humoring the holiday.
Makes me think of, like, telling jokes to Billie Holiday. But yeah, it's just like the whole time, like, I want so badly to sit at that kid's table. I want to grab a Nerf gun and just go sit down and shoot one of them in the head with the foam dart. And
I'm never inviting you to Christmas dinner. You're barred.
Damn it. But anything to get me out of adult conversation around holidays. It's so just dull.
I know what you mean, and I don't know about you, but I find the people in my life, whenever you get to a holiday, and you know, I find even I'm doing it now. All people ever seem to do is complain about how much work the holiday is. Like Christmas, all you ever hear anybody talk about is how hard it is to prepare Christmas dinner, and you just think, well, don't do it then. Nobody's making you.
Right. It's like, well, the perfect example is that one of the other things I watched the other night was an old episode of America's Funniest Home Video. And
classy.
It was, yeah. I mean, America's Home Videos is YouTube before YouTube existed.
Yeah, we've got we've got a program in Britain called You've Been Framed. Basically the same thing. You send in your old camcorder clips of people falling down, and the audience laughs. And, yeah.
Well, the clip that made me laugh was I mean, the timestamp even said like 1993.
That's the best.
And
when you can see that it's all ancient.
The kid opens up a gift on Christmas, and she's like, "Oh my God, you got me a Sega! A Sega! Oh my God, a Sega!" And her little brother is right next to her, and he grabs like this piece of cardboard that had been part of the packaging, and he's just like, "Cardboard! Cardboard!" And it's like, yes, I long for that.
Simpler times. That's good. On the plus side, your Christmas budget. I know what I'm getting you for Christmas. I can keep things cheap.
Cardboard?
Cardboard it is.
Bring it on. Like, I can always use more cardboard. For what?
Yeah.
I don't know. But I can always use it.
I can't throw away cardboard boxes now. Every time I come to a cardboard box, I've got my cats in it. I'm talking about my cat a lot today because every time I try to do anything, she always seems to be there, just sitting on me. Oh my god, she heard. She's here.
See,
Earlier today.
I long for the days when, like, Pussy would find me.
Earlier, I was changing her litter tray, and I tipped all the litter out into a bag, and I'm tying up the bag and I'm taking it out to the bin, and then I come back and she's sat in the empty box, and I'm just thinking, oh no, she's using it before I put new litter in. So I go over and she's just sitting there. So I'm like, she's just investigating. She's just sitting in. I'll just take her out, and I lift her up and she's peeing.
How would you feel? How would you feel if someone just walked into the bathroom while you were taking a piss and just lifted you up?
But she didn't like stop, you know? Like, oh, I've been lifted up, I'll stop. I had her like under the armpit. And I couldn't put her back down because like she was filling the litter tray with pee. So I just stood over the litter box for about 2 minutes holding a peeing cat.
See, I would probably do the same thing. Like, it'd be like a defense mechanism for me. It's like, hey, what are you doing? Come here, I'm gonna pee on you. What are you doing?
It was so funny. Like, and she was so casual about it. She was like, "Yeah, I'm peeing right now." What? You want to use this? I'll be done in a minute.
You sound like she's like a drunk. I've known some drunks who have done that. Like, just on Main Street. Just peeing out onto the street, you know, not a care in the world, and like, what? I'm peeing.
You got a problem? Is that okay?
Well, I remember, this is gonna be so gross, but I remember one night, I'm out drinking with a bunch of my old coworkers, and me and this one guy are outside, and we're talking about whatever, I don't know. But I glance over and I see this woman staring at this pole. Like, okay, well, she's obviously drunk. So I go back to my conversation, and then the guy I'm having a conversation with goes, John, check this shit out. So I turn my head again, and she is now leaned up against the pole in the squatting position, just being on the sidewalk. Like, she first had to establish that the pole would be enough to support her weight. And then she did it. It wasn't a just random decision. It took thought and planning.
You know, at this age, John, everything's a toilet when you're drunk enough.
Yeah.
I remember I was on a night out once. I was with some friends who were coming home from a club, and this guy, he comes out in front of us, obviously like completely off his head. He comes out and he stops us. He holds out his hand and he goes, lads, does anybody know how to use this? And he holds up like this needle. and it's like dark, so you can see this needle. He's holding it, but not like up in his hand, like ready to go. He's got it between like two fingers, dangling it.
Okay.
He's like, I gotta be really careful because I don't know where it's been.
Then put it away, man.
He's holding it out to us, and we're kind of backing off, like looking at one another. Everybody's thinking, okay, are you gonna speak to Needle Man?
I'm just like, sir, you are 15 seconds away from having AIDS.
But the question was amazing to me. Does anybody know how to use this? It didn't come with instructions.
He's like the worst drug dealer known to man.
Yeah, Jesus, whatever happened to a little on-the-job training?
It's like, I skipped orientation. Fuck.
Do I hold it by the pointy end or the squeezy end?
This is the end. But, and I just, I can't say that I'm above peeing on whatever, because
No,
where I
but you
used to live,
should.
I should be, but I'm not. Because where I used to live, I used to be just like 2 blocks away from probably one of the most popular bars in my town. And so I'd go there on the weekends and I'd just stumble on home. But to get home, I passed by a chiropractor's office. And I swear to God, every night I'd pass by the thing and pee on it before going home. I'd only be like 100 feet away.
I'm sort of okay with that. I don't have very positive feelings towards chiropractors.
No?
I think that's kind of deserved. What are they going to do? Call a doctor?
I mean, I guess,
I have
like,
no idea what I'm talking about.
yeah, you kind of had me. You kind of had me at a loss there. So, all right, before I guess we start wrapping up a little bit, have you seen the trailer for the new Jurassic Park movie?
Oh, that looks so weird.
Yeah. And my thing is that you can clearly see that there are little homages in the trailer. Like there's a whole bit where they're driving like the Jeep and there's all the little running dinosaurs. But
Yeah,
past them, it looks a lot like that whole scene where Grant is like holding the one kid and like dragging the other one, and they all run
yeah,
past. It looks a lot like that. So much so that the graphics even look the same,
right.
which is
I
weird
don't.
because the whole time I'm watching this trailer, all I keep on thinking is, how do these dinosaurs still look worse than like the big T-Rex puppet that they had?
Right.
It still all looks kind of bad.
Yeah, and the film itself doesn't look like it's going to be winning any awards.
No.
I mean, I don't know about you, but I think that looks like it's. I think that's just going to be a retread of the first film. I think
And
that's where they're going with it now. The sequels both really failed. Maybe not commercially, but certainly I think as films they were not great.
see, I guess I'm in the minority where I actually legitimately liked the Lost World.
I don't mind it. I don't mind it, but I do think it's a confused film.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it knows what it wants to be. I mean, even like calling itself The Lost World, giving it the Conan Doyle book as its title, and it's not really like that. I mean, it starts off a little bit like it's an island where dinosaurs are roaming free and they're going and they're studying the ecology. But really, I mean, that film is King Kong, you know? If you look at it, that's the model, King Kong. They go away to the island, they find the big monster, they bring it back, it causes havoc in the city, but it doesn't it doesn't feel like a good King Kong film or a good Lost World film or a good Jurassic Park film so much as it feels like a really weird mishmash of a lot of different directions. I guess I feel like they spent a really long time trying to make a Jurassic Park film and that's what they ended up with. So many different people's ideas just smushed in.
It's like, I remember there. It's one of those things where I can't remember. There's a weird thing with that movie where either Michael Crichton wrote the book afterwards, or did,
Have you read that book? Because
yes, I have.
I remember it's a really strange thing. The book is a lot further away than the first film is. Because the first film is quite close to the book, you know? It feels a bit more like a kid's film, but it's there. Lost World is quite different. It's just the basic premise. And yet, when you look at that book, there's so much that feels like it came from the studio. Like, spoilers for people, but in the novel of Jurassic Park, Ian Malcolm dies at the end.
Yes.
But obviously he's alive in the film. He's alive in the second book as well. And I think they put in like a throwaway line about it being misreported.
Yeah, they definitely do mention that, where it's like I thought you were dead. A lot of people think I was dead.
Yeah, like he's speaking at a conference, I think. And he is the main character in the book. So the film kind of takes that as a jumping off point. But I feel like if they weren't planning on making that sequel, would he have written him back into the? I really don't know what happened with that book.
And the funny thing is that I think Malcolm is a much more interesting and lovable character than Grant.
Oh, I agree. In the first film. In the second film, he's quite different.
See, I think he still has a little bit of the same, like, swarmy, sarcastic approach to everything, but he's kind of put in a position where now he is the, like, hero, and he kind of knows it.
Yeah.
So he has to act on it.
Right. And that's why Jurassic Park 3 is just so strange. Because Jurassic Park 3 is kind of the same plot. You take somebody from the first film who didn't want to go back, and you make them go back, and you see how they react. But whereas kind of Malcolm, he's moved on. He's changed. He's had a family. He doesn't want to go back for all kinds of reasons. Alan Grant is exactly the same, except he doesn't want to go back. But he didn't want to go in the first place.
Right.
So it's not that different.
Well, and I'm curious as how they're going to explain, like, the ending of Jurassic Park 3 in this new movie. Because in the end of 3, it's kind of hinted and alluded to that these dinosaurs are getting out. Like,
yeah,
we can't hold them anymore. They're going to go out into the real world.
Yeah, and I was reading about this film, and I don't want to kind of judge the film on details that haven't been confirmed yet, that aren't. But the summary, as far as I can tell, that what they're pitching as the plot to this film is that in the future, Jurassic Park is like a thriving business. It's doing really well. And then they do something to bring more people in because business is failing. Business starts to decline. But that doesn't really fit in with the theme of the film either, which is that, Jurassic Park can never do well because there are too many variables,
Well, I think at heart, the overlying message is...
Hello? Hello? I lost you. The last thing I heard was the overlying message is...
Okay, the overlying message in these films was always about caution about playing God.
Right.
And I do think that they are sticking with that.
Right, but there was a little... I think there was a little more to it, though, in that it was about not suggesting that you could possibly have thought of all the variables, Not believing that you could predict.
Like the hubris of man.
Yeah.
And I do think that they are going to do stuff like that, because I watched the trailer, and it clearly says, like, oh, we're creating the very first hybrid, which isn't true, because wasn't the whole Spinosaur thing from number 3? Wasn't that supposed to be like a weird crossbreed or something?
I don't know.
I don't
Although they were hybrids with frogs anyway, weren't they? That was a plot point, wasn't it, in the first one?
Something like that. But they use frogs.
Are they going to be hybrids with people? It's going to be like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle.
Oh God, I hope so.
Halfway through the film, it just becomes the samurai Velociraptor squad.
Yes. But God damn it.
just, just that guy from the first one. Clever girl. Who you calling clever, nosy?
And just gets shanked with a katana blade.
They're ordering hot dogs.
Pizzas for chumps. But yeah, and then it's like what I'm hoping for, what I'm really hoping for is that now this might already be released information. I'm hoping that I can't remember his name now. The guy who's gonna be the lead. He was in Galaxy or Guardians of the Galaxy. God, what is his name? But
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
yes,
He's always the lead.
Chris Pratt.
I haven't seen a film in a while. Can you tell?
Did you see that new one where he was with Danny DeVito and they're supposed to be twins? And but yeah, it's Chris Pratt. I probably could figure this out right now. But anyways, I'm hoping that his character is actually the little kid from the first Jurassic Park, just grown up.
Oh, that would be so good.
God, I hope so. Let's see here. I can do a quick IMDb thing and maybe figure this out.
That would be perfect, though.
It really would. Like, that would be something that it would be corny and cheesy.
Yeah, but this film's going to be corny and cheesy anyway.
Okay, well, apparently he's playing a character named Owen.
Oh, well.
There you go. Now you have a
reason
to go see it.
Me. Shall I just go see it and then just write a letter of complaint? I would never have acted as portrayed in this film.
Right, this is a slander against all Owens everywhere.
Right. I would never be so foolish as to frolic with dinosaurs in such an unsupervised manner.
I don't know. I don't see any other. I just checked out the cast list for Jurassic Park. I don't see anyone named Owen.
Yo, that kid, what was his name? Was it like Tommy or something?
Something like that. But wasn't he like the weird thing was that he was the owner's like nephew or
he was their grandfather.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. Rightly. His name was Tim. Tim Murphy.
Tim? Oh, Tim's short for Owen, isn't it? I use it all the time.
Yes. What you don't know is that his name was Tim Owen Murphy, and now when he's older, he's just going by his middle name.
Well, I mean, he says in the first film, his parents were getting a divorce. Maybe his dad gave him that name, and he took it with him. He lost. His dad got custody of his first name.
That's how divorces work.
It was a really bitter divorce.
Yeah.
Back and forth in court, fighting for months over this kid's first name. Your Honor, Tim is a stupid name.
What about Timothy? Shit, I didn't think about that.
Maybe it's his surname. He's just listed as Owen. Maybe he's like Tim Owen.
Right? He got married and took her name?
Nah, divorce. He took his other parent's name. He lost that in the divorce. He lost his actor in the divorce, and the name went with it.
See, I'm actually really upset about this. Like, they like the girl who played the girl in Jurassic Park, like she's not coming back apparently, and
well, she's a painter now.
Oh, is she?
Quite a good one actually. Oh. Don't worry though, because I hear that he is playing the young boy for Jurassic Park from Jurassic Park in Guardians of the Galaxy. That's
Oh,
the same character.
damn it! I knew there was a connection.
Like, you know, at the beginning, he sees his mum die of cancer and that whole thing, and then he's abducted by aliens. What you didn't see is just before that, he just got back from Jurassic Park.
Jurassic Park.
It was the prequel. It was
Oh god.
the end credits scene to the film before, just the entirety of Jurassic Park.
It's something that the aliens like imprinted on his head to keep him calm through the trip through the space, like a Matrix sort of thing.
Like virtual reality, in-flight entertainment, the events of Jurassic Park.
These graphics are terrible.
Our intelligence must be wrong. They said Earth children love dinosaurs.
Fucking A. Jurassic Park. Like, I have a very strange love-hate relationship with that movie. It's the very first movie I can remember going to see as a child, like in the theaters.
Yeah.
And I remember because I didn't make it through the whole movie. I grew up with very sensitive hearing. Like, high-pitched noises really bugged me. And my parents, in their infinite wisdom, sat us in a seat right next to one of the big, like, speakers. And the first time...
Oh, you were that kid.
Yes, the very first time the T-Rex showed up, I didn't care that it looked scary or that it ate a freaking goat. What freaked me out was the roar. It hurt my ears so badly that I just started bawling. And my parents had to take me out and take me home.
Oh. I bet that was a heartbreaking moment for you. A formative moment. That, you've reminded me. I've got this idea. It's for it's for an educational game. Alright. And I have a lot of these ideas. It's for an educational game for the Nintendo DS handheld system. Not the 3DS. It'll work on the 3DS, but I think DS, keep the budget low, right?
Right.
Okay. It's an educational game, and it's to stop children from being frightened when they have to go to the hospital.
Okay.
Because I spent a lot of time in hospitals, over the years.
Mm-hmm.
And little kids, they got to go in. And they got to see their grandparents and stuff, right? So I think there should be like a game to kind of ease them as to, what, if they're going in to visit, what people are going through, right?
Right.
Okay. Called Captain Dialysis and the Catheter Kid.
Oh my god. What was it? And their boss is Commander Chemo?
That's the villain.
I'm already helping you.
Alright.
God,
Okay.
God. Captain Dialysis and the Catheter Kid.
Because, right? Kids, they like superheroes.
Yeah, and catheters.
And advanced treatment for renal failure. But that's really good, right? It's kind of like, it's superhero themed, it's got like cool music, and basically you've got to help Captain Dialysis to cure your grandparents from...
It's gonna be like episodic. Will be Captain Dialysis and the Catheter Kid in the mystery of the transplant complication.
Right, and you've got to kind of control both at the same time. So like with your stylus, you're on the touch screen, you're trying to avoid kidney failure. You're replacing fluids, you're like
inserting a catheter.
No. And then like with the with the shoulder buttons, you're like
But you have to be really subtle about it, so it's just like a big hot dog and a like threaded needle. Just we're making a hot dog necklace, and you have to insert it through the tip of the hot dog and just kind of work your way through it.
Yeah, but you got to do it while keeping the dialysis working.
That's right. Yeah, it's a weird multitask game.
Go and finish this. So with one hand you're working the dialysis. Then with the shoulder buttons, you're aligning the catheter, getting it ready for entry, right? And
the money shot, really.
And it's just that for about 6 to 8 weeks. Just keeping that.
Those kids are gonna be so misguided. Like, they're gonna go into the hospital like, oh, I know what a catheter is. Ah!
They're like holding the DS over their grandparents, like twiddling the shoulder buttons.
And the thing is, like, the grandparents are gonna be like really like well-meaning behind it. Like, yeah, that's exactly what that felt like.
I'll save you, Grandma.
Or it's gonna be even really bad too. It's like, I have to tell you something rough here. Your grandpa here probably won't make it for another week. Well, did you save?
Out of the way, Doctor. I got 10 points on this level.
I got this. He just runs in with a rogue catheter, just plugging away. It's so much easier on the screen.
You gotta do it like this. We don't have insurance. But you see, it's good though because not only is it like educational.
Is it?
See, you've made me self-conscious now. I'm all laughing. You're making me think maybe it's not a good idea.
That's like saying Grand Theft Auto is educational. Like, well, aren't I supposed to kill the prostitute after I'm done? That's what the game said.
All right, but hear me out. Because
all right.
After we,
I'm trying, man.
After we've got it on the DS, get it? We get it to sell. We've got it. It's won some awards.
Warm summer waltz? Right.
I may have to edit some of this laughter out.
No, I think you need to leave it in.
Bring it down to 2 hours, you know. So after it's sold really well, you know, and it's got kids learning about, you know, their grandparents' medical procedures and stuff, you know, they're feeling better about going to the hospital. They feel like they understand a bit more. We can kind of expand the market, you know, take it off the DS, get it onto home consoles, you know, and we should get the people who do like, you know, those Guitar Hero games.
Okay.
We get like a little plastic catheter, you know, that comes with it. And, you know, we can make... They got those guitar controllers down pretty cheap. You know, they got the profit margin up. We get, you know, like an Activision, a made in Taiwan sort of plastic dialysis, USB dialysis machine.
Sure.
You know, they can put grandma in at home.
Oh, no. He succeeds. You rock. And hell, why not? Like, when the sales start dipping, we'll release an HD remix. That's what you want. You want an HD version of putting in the catheter.
Well, I mean, if we can get it onto more modern consoles, we can get like achievements, you know. You kept Uncle Ron alive for 2 days.
When you the bag breaks on you, you get an achievement to don't cry over spilled urine.
Right.
Oh god.
I'd push a Wii version, but I think accessories are a bit overdone on that platform.
Yeah. What would you use the Pro Pad for, or wherever the touchscreen thing is?
Blood monitor?
There you go. It's just a EKG thing the whole time.
Boop.
Yeah.
Boop.
And
Yeah,
when you really that way, when you really slip up, it's just like boop 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 boop.
Lost 10 points. I'm their dad.
Oh god. The good news is I passed. Good news is I passed the level. The bad news is he won't pee right for a week.
Yeah, so we were saying at the beginning what was the goal of this podcast. I think in about a year, getting Activision to make Dialysis Hero.
Captain Dialysis and the Catheter Kid.
Right. Oh, maybe we could get Marvel to do a tie-in comic.
Yeah, sure. With 3D holographic covers.
And maybe they could slip a little, an empty one. I'm not gross, but a little catheter, with each issue, Do
you have to collect them all to get the whole piece?
Right. Right, and if you fill 6 and send them back, you get a free gift.
Something to use for Disney Infinity.
Yeah, like a Captain, like a Captain Dialysis figure. And when you load him into the game, he gets Mr. Incredible off his kidney failure or something.
Yeah.
There's a level where Captain Jack Sparrow's had a second failed transplant from his from liver complications. You've got to give him dialysis while simultaneously keeping him away from his stash of rum, so it fits in nicely with the films.
Yeah, there you go.
You don't want to get too risque though, because this is for kids.
Right. Oh god. So, when we did our first recording, we kind of ended with doing some jokes. So
I was completely serious.
Absolutely. That's why I'm, moving on from a serious discussion.
Right. Serious educational software pitch.
I figure, and we've gone for about an hour.
Right.
So how about we wrap up some things, and why don't you give me your best bad joke of the day?
Oh, I might need a minute to think of one.
Okay. Well, while you think of that, I had one prepared.
I should have. This is what I should have done.
Okay. Because it's currently hunting season here in America. For killing deer. I figured I'd do a hunting joke.
Okay.
So now I'm a little torn because the setup for this joke is that there's 2 Polish hunters in the wood. Because that's what all jokes here in America are. You kind of pick a race or an ethnicity or a nationality, and you just go with it. So, but I'm really afraid to alienate our Polish audience.
Do we have a Polish audience?
God damn it, we will. But I hope by the time that they come about, they'll understand that I mean no ill will toward the Polish people. Except for the sausage thing. Those things are disgusting. I hate sausage. So, the joke.
I'm ready.
There's two Polish hunters in the wood, and they get lost. they get turned around and they just can't find their way back to camp. So the one looks at the other and goes, all right, well, this is what you do. Fire 2 shots in the air, and people who are around us will hear, and they'll come find us. So the one fires 2 shots in the air, and they sit around and they wait, and no one comes. All right, well, let's try it again. So the guy fires another 2 shots in the air, and they wait, and still no one comes. So finally, the guy's like, all right, well, we gotta give it one more shot. And his other buddy goes, well, I can't. Why not? I only have 1 arrow left.
I think I must have missed something.
Well, because the idea is that he's gonna fire. Okay, I'm breaking the rule of comedy. I'm explaining the joke, but the idea is that you fire shots like bullets into the air, and it makes the noise, so people come to the noise. But if you're firing arrows, you kind of miss the boom.
Or the joke in this case.
Yes. Good. Just a rip-roaring success the first time out.
So we may, ending on a joke may not work out as a tradition. Okay.
I'm sticking by it, man. I liked it.
I remembered one I like.
Okay.
Have you seen that magic tractor?
No.
It goes down the field, then I ruined it. It goes down the road, then turns into a field.
Oh. Damn it, Owen. Oh my god. Oh, well, I say that this is a somewhat successful first attempt at this. It's not even an attempt. It's not even an attempt. We did it. We recorded a podcast. God damn it.
Right. If people, one day, when this is the most beloved podcast the internet has ever known, people will look back on this and wonder what we were thinking. But it doesn't matter, because we'll be rich.
Yeah.
Through
you know
podcasting.
what? I believe they'll see the seeds of greatness. You know?
Well, I hope they will, because
right now I feel like I am one step closer to my Poofy podcast pants.
Your Poofy podcast pants. We did it.
With that being said, I have been Jonathan Cadotte.
And I have been Owen Adams, I think.
And perhaps next episode will explain the name of our podcast, but this has been Those Aren't Biscuits.
That's right. Or are they?
Don't play with the title now.
Yeah, it took us long enough.
Yeah, right. All right.
Okay,
you guys have a good night.
Goodbye, people. Hello.
And you're back.
Welcome back. Shortly after we finished recording this, we realized that we'd forgotten to mention that, the podcast has a Twitter account at Not Biscuits on Twitter.
So at Not Biscuits.
That's right. And I am available on Twitter if you wish to follow me at Illogicology. But if you just go to the Not Biscuits account, it's following our accounts from there if you don't know how to spell it. So
ILLOLOGY.
Nah,
yeah, I'm lost.
Nah.
No, I was wrong. No, don't listen to me.
I think it's ILLOGICOLOGY.
And you can find me at John C. Person. It's
John C. Person.
Yeah, it's JONC Person.
Sounds pretty simple. Why don't you spell that out again for me, Johnny?
That would be at JONC
I think they can get that.
All right.
Certainly a lot easier than mine. And we have email addresses and stuff, but I don't remember. So.
Yeah, I personally want to set up a new one for this, so.
Yeah, so if you want to get in touch, Twitter is the place for now.
Absolutely. Did we want to mention our blogs?
I have a blog, but you can get to it through my Twitter, so just do that for me.
Well, mine is. I don't know if I tied mine to my Twitter. Just real quick, it's pretty similar. It's www.johncperson.wordpress.com.
There we go. Okay.
All right.
We forgot that. In future, we won't forget that, so there won't be any other exciting PSs. But there you go. It was just a little more to love.
Yes. Just want to, just send out our love just a little bit more.
Yeah. The cherry on top, as it were.
Mm-hmm. That's right. And, this podcast was nothing but whipped cream.
Yes. And catheters.
I don't know if that's a good thing or not. And catheters, yeah.
Whipped cream catheters.
Now, you can't forget catheters. All right, then. Now it's farewell.
Yes. Bye-bye.
Adios.
Baby, how long? How long? How long? How long? Baby, how long? Oh, baby, how long? When I woke up this morning at the break of dawn, I looked over and found my baby gone. How long? How long? How long? Baby, how long? Oh, baby, how long? Now the mailman passed and never left no news. Left me here singing the how long blues. How long? How long? How long? Baby, how long? Oh, baby, how long? If I could holler like a mountain jack, I'd go up on the mountain and call my baby back. How long? How long? How long? How long? Baby, how long? Oh.